Hello, and welcome to The Kosh. I'm your host, Timber Smith, and The Kosh is a podcast that spotlights people who've had an association with the Kosh and the surrounding Fox Cities area. Also, The Kosh is sponsored by Sturgeon Spirits Craft Distillery, the Kosh's newest tradition. Kosh listeners, how are we doing out there? So, I got a question for you. So, I was doing a little reading, and I'm always trying to improve. You know, podcasting is my hobby. I love this. And I do read my fair share of articles about how to improve, right? Because I care. And in it said, cut the small talk at the beginning of podcast. And, you know, if you look at all my episodes, I always start off with kind of a little small talk in the weather report, letting you know. So, and I do that because I'm hoping that it frames the time of when we recorded it, because I think we all live in since it's a regional podcast, I'm thinking we all kind of live in the same area. So it kind of connects is what I'm hoping. But I'm looking for your feedback. Should I cut out the small talk at the beginning and get straight to the guest, or should I do what I do now? And you know, I want to take into account what the experts say, but I don't know. It's a thing. I've never had anybody complain about it, so I'm not quite sure how to feel about it. So I'm asking you, the Kosh listeners. But since I haven't heard any feedback yet, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you about today. Anyway, it is an early Sunday morning with amazing sun out there, but it is one of those days in Wisconsin that will fool the pants off of you, because it is sunny and beautiful looking out these windows. It is below 3. It's got a minus in front of it. There's a 3 with a minus, and I got feelings about that. So yesterday was snowpocalypse, which y'all don't know if you listened to the last episode before this one. We talked about snowpocalypse. Well, today is the day after snowpocalypse, and what we have is the frozen tundra going on here, right here in Northeast Wisconsin, and it is ridiculous. I was watching the football game last night that was in Kansas City, and they were playing, and it was -3 temperature with a -27 with the wind chill. And I was just like, woo. It was so cold that Patrick Mahomes broke his helmet. It cracked. So it's cold. That's some different kind of cold. And I'm feeling like are we here right now in the Kosh going through that kind of cold? I'll tell you what I'm not going to be doing. Going outside. I promise you. All right. But I'm going to tell you right now, this here is going to be such an informative and fun episode. I am super excited about today's guest. You know what? But, you know, before we get started, you know what I got to do? You know, I got to tell you, I don't know why I get these amazing guests week after week, and I am grateful for it. And I hope you also appreciate the fact that these people want to share a little something with the surrounding Kosh and Fox Cities region. We get these amazing guests, and this week is no different. So, without further ado, this week's guest is Orson Fournillier. Did I get that right?
You got it.
Yes. Got it. All right. I've been on a roll. I have not been slaughtering nearly as many names as I have in the past, but I'm not going to lie, Kosh listeners, I took the time to ask him how to say it before we got started.
Broke it down real simple.
Yes, you did. You helped me out. All right. How are we doing today?
It's a wonderful, beautiful day, like you said. But I got up and it was 0 degrees, and I'm like, we shouldn't be out here. But I was excited to do this podcast. So I got dressed, layered up, and I got myself out.
Hey, I appreciate that.
Bruh.
I am so glad that you fought your way through the frozen tundra.
Layers. It's all about the layers.
It is about the layers. Like, people don't know.
Oh, God.
You know, as a matter of fact, you know, well, I think we're going to get a chance to talk about it. But so in the last episode, I told a story about my neighbor down the street. It's a new neighbor, and he just moved here from California. And yesterday was his first snow. And my poor man, he got beat up. And so when people come here from somewhere else, I don't think they be ready.
Listen. We're gonna get into it, but let me give you my stories. So when I was at Howard University, right, doing my master's, it was 2001, and I'd lived all my life. So kind of getting into it, all my life in the Caribbean, right? Maybe it gets below, let's see, Fahrenheit. Maybe it gets below 20, maybe on a really bad. But we live in the 30s, 40s, I think. No, don't quote me on the Fahrenheit. Anyway, here's my point. It's August. I'm waiting for the bus to go to school. It's bright sunshine. I have a light jacket. The bus rushes by me. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here? I went to my landlady. I'm like, Mrs. J, I don't understand what's going on here. It's bright sunshine and it's freezing cold outside. She goes, here's what you need to do. Look at the weather. I'm like, what do you mean look at the weather? Look at the weather report every day. You know, grew up in the Caribbean. You look outside, it's bright, it's going to be hot. It's overcast, it's going to be wet. That's all we need.
Bruh.
Yes.
Right? So now I'm like, okay, good. So I get dressed, turn on the weather. I'm having my tea, and the weather forecaster goes, it's 56. And I turn to my landlady, I go, what does that mean? We grew up at Celsius. I'm like, I have no idea what 56 means. Right? And now I'm going, damn it. They taught us the conversion. I just never paid attention thinking, when will I ever need to convert Celsius into Fahrenheit?
Right.
Never. This is useless information. So now, for a year, what I have to do is get dressed, get outside, feel that temperature, come back inside, and go, okay, that's what 56 is. Got to a point where I go, okay, anything under 40, cold. Anything above 40, I can handle it. Anything over 70, beautiful. And that's how we lived.
Right.
Until moved to Wisconsin.
Bruh.
Right? First year moving to Wisconsin. So this is 2012. And we had just moved from Massachusetts. So I'm looking at these guys, and it was Easter Sunday, 2012. And I'm looking at, why are these people out? And it's 40 degrees. You're in shorts and a jacket. What is wrong with these people?
Bruh.
Facts. 40 degrees, shorts. And a year and a half later, we had one of that. I think so. This is 2014, 2015. And I'm at work, and one of my team members said, oh, you know what? Our school's going to be closed tomorrow. I was like, why? Well, it's going to be like minus 20. And I'm like, you're telling me my children could die if they went to school tomorrow because it's going to be so cold? I'm like, well, I'm not coming to work either.
Bruh.
Yes. Good assessment.
So it's that cold. Keep your children home. I'm like, man, this weather is... Next day, it went up to minus 15. I'm like, okay, so minus a 5-degree difference. It should be okay, right? And I went to work late. My car barely started. Barely, right? And it was like a half a minute walk between the office and the car. And I'm like, oh my God, this thing is the worst. This is the worst weather I've ever had. Then the weather turned back up to 30 degrees. And I'm like, oh my God, 30 degrees. This is beautiful. You guys got to come outside. This is wonderful weather. Now I'm in shorts and a jacket, right? And flip-flops, and I'm taking the garbage out. I'm like, yeah, listen, man, 35, come on out. Let's go for a walk. It's for me, it's all relative, right? You got to a point where 40 degrees was the worst I could handle. I'm like, this is terrible. Then you get to minus 20 and then go back. 40 degrees is absolutely beautiful. I'm a light jacket and I'm walking around. I'm like, fast forward, I made a trip to China for work and it's 65. And I'm in a sports jacket. And my Chinese suppliers are going, oh, Mr. Fournillier, do you need a jacket? And they're in heavy jackets in 65. I'm like, guys, this is okay. We'll make it. When you get to minus 20, that's when you know what cold is.
It's all relative.
But we jumped right into it.
I love. Hey, look, we needed to jump into that because I understand. I have been there. I have watched people, on college campuses around Wisconsin. During snow, every once in a while, you will watch somebody go to class in some freezing weather, in some shorts and a pair of Birkenstocks with some socks on. Maybe socks, maybe not. And I used to look at them and be like, I don't understand. Like, do I need to call some mental health services for you.
Bruh.
Because I was just like, everything about this is right. But then after a while, being on campus long enough, I'm just like, yeah.
You adjust.
Yeah, well, it's just look, you're going to see it.
But that's my kids. My kids will be in their Crocs. And like, I always say it's because you haven't experienced being outside. You jump in the car.
Yeah.
The car's in a garage.
Right.
You go to school and you come back.
Right.
I'm like, and so I'm one of those where I'm always preparing for the worst. And I say to my kids, listen, what if the car stalls and you have to get out of the car?
Well, yeah.
Right? You got to be prepared. Do not go out in your Crocs with your mother to the grocery. Something might go wrong. Now, invariably, nothing goes wrong. But the day it does,
they're going to be in their Crocs and mad.
oh, my God.
First of all, kids are different. Like, I don't think kids have internal thermostats. And have you ever noticed that it could be freezing cold, but that kid don't want to go to school with a coat on, and they just going to throw on a hoodie, and they will walk in a blizzard in their hoodie versus throwing on a coat and doing the thing.
That's what you've seen.
You've seen your son.
You've seen my son.
Bruh.
I'm dropping this boy off to school, and he's in his light Nike jacket and just strolling from the car to the. I'm not talking like a step every 2 seconds. I'm talking like one step here, and then the next step, and then boy, it's cold. Run to the door.
Yes,
I'm good.
Wait, I've seen your son and his friends because they all do that.
All of them.
All of them. Oh my God, this was so good. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Now we're gonna jump in.
All right.
All right.
Let's start now.
So, Orson, what is your connection to the Kosh and the surrounding Fox Cities area?
Yep. So, like I mentioned, I moved to Wisconsin in 2012 for work. I've lived here in Appleton since then, and just fell in love with the Appleton area when I moved to the U.S. So fun fact, right? People usually say, "Where are you from?" And I used to say, "Well, I grew up in Oshkosh," but nobody seems to believe that because of my accent, and people laugh. That's my icebreaker. Now here I am on the Kosh. I'm like, is it appropriate for me to say that?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, it is, and I might use it.
So, grew up in the Caribbean, moved to the U.S. in 2001 to pursue my master's at Howard University. Spent 2 years living in the Washington, D.C., Maryland area. Then 2 years in New Jersey, 2 years in Pennsylvania, a couple months in Rhode Island, 5 years in Massachusetts. And then a recruiter called me. His name is Mike. I'll never forget his name. Mike says, Orson, I found this excellent job opportunity for you, right? It's leading the procurement group for a small company in Wrightstown, Wisconsin. And I go, Wrightstown, where is that? First of all, it's Wisconsin. Okay, I know the name of the state. Never thought I'd ever live in Wisconsin.
That you and many of others have said that.
Bruh.
So, it's like, okay, it's Green Bay, so I'm familiar with the name. And then he described the opportunity, and I'm like, wow, it's a great opportunity, right? The opportunity to help an organization evolve, change, build talent, build capability within the organization. Talked to my wife. She's like, oh, yeah, you can go talk to them. Flew out, and this had to be like January 2012, 2013. Flew out, met with the team. Very, very nice. Came back. My wife's like, how was it? I'm like, man, the place is cold. Back to our original topic, right? The place is cold. But the people are so warm. I mean, like really, really nice. It kind of reminds me of home. She's like, okay. Back and forth. And I go, okay, yeah. So taking this job. She goes, we're not really moving to Wisconsin, right? I was like, you said I could. She's like, yeah, I said you could talk to them. I didn't think we'd actually move to Wisconsin. Fast forward, spent since 2012 here, working with multiple companies in the area between Milwaukee, Appleton, Green Bay. My kids were born in Massachusetts, but they've lived most of their life in Wisconsin now. So they're Scunnies for all I care. And just something about the area is just so inviting, right? When I tell people Midwest nice is a real thing, specific to Appleton, I mean, it's real. Having lived up and down the Eastern Seaboard, right, and living here, it is a real thing. So worked here. Also, now I'm part and parcel of People of Progression. So I sit on the board right now as president people of progression.
Right.
So that's part of what grounds me here.
Do you want to explain what People of Progression is?
People of Progression is a nonprofit organization that's focused on providing services to BIPOC community in Northeast Wisconsin. Right now it's focused on Appleton, Oshkosh area, but we provide health services, advocacy services, youth services targeted to the BIPOC community in the area. Started off by Keenan Davenport and Kristen Gondek, phenomenal founders, had a vision that really came out of the tragedy of George Floyd, but really committed to delivering real value to the community. So hands off to and shout out to those two founders.
Facts.
And I'm just happy to lend my services, my talent, my skills to helping that organization continue to grow and thrive.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That good. You gave us some background. You told us how you got here. And let me ask you this now. Well, what are you currently doing?
So having spent over 20 years in corporate America, I'm on a hiatus, somewhat of a hiatus. I'm still looking at my next potential role there. But about 3 or 4 years ago, a good friend of mine, his name is Yao Asari, shout out to Yao. He had an idea of many ideas. So if you meet Yao, he's a guy, he always has ideas. Right?
He's energy.
Oh my God. It's like idea here, there. And one of the ideas he came to me with was a snack that he used to eat when he was a kid. It's called Nkati cake, right? So he grew up in Ghana. And my connection to Ghana is my wife's from Ghana. So I have that extended family. And I'm part of the very vibrant West African community that is in the Northeast Wisconsin area. So yeah, that's great. He gave me a sample. I'm like, yeah, this is it. This thing is good. And then he's like, hey, can you help me? Right. And it comes back to how I see my purpose, what I do, what motivates me. Right. He had this idea. He wanted to realize it. And I'm like, I can leverage my skills, my experience to help you realize your dream. That's what I do. So right now, most of my time is spent helping build that business. I'm a co-owner of that business, which means taking care of the finances, helping with the strategy, helping with customers. We have a store down in Oconomowoc doing that, making deliveries, right? It's business ownership, entrepreneurship. I mean, it's his idea. I'm the instrument that's helping get that idea to fruition.
Right.
So spending time there. And then part of that hiatus from that corporate America is being able to spend that time with my kids so my two kids, 15 and 13, right? My son, taller than I am, he's 6'1", but my daughter, beautiful girl, like her mother. I spend a lot of time traveling for work. So travel is something I love. And I spent a lot of time traveling. And sometimes my job wasn't based in Appleton. In fact, most of my jobs were based outside of Appleton. I spent 3 years with the Master Lock company in Milwaukee, and I spent 2 years with a company in Green Bay. And part of what I've done, I'm a procurement supply chain professional. So handling the acquisition of goods and services for companies. And so I'd be traveling to China, to India, to South America, to suppliers, right? So I was not there. So now, having taken that somewhat of a hiatus, I'm there, right, for the kids, for my wife, able to enjoy a little bit of that time as they grow. They're teenagers, so I know the time I have with them is limited.
Right.
So the things that give me joy right now, my daughter had a volleyball game last night. All right, so I can afford to sit and watch that volleyball game. My son is freshman basketball, right? Having the time to, that's a priority for me now, right? Even with owning the business, right? And, having ownership of a business gives you a little bit of flexibility. So I could say to the team, guys, I'm not going to be here because I got a varsity basketball game to go watch. Where my son's, he's going to be there, right? Or JV game. I got a volleyball tournament to go watch. My daughter is playing, right? So I lost my train of thought. Where were we going with this? I don't.
Well, I asked, what are you doing right now?
Yes. So, business, being a good husband, being a good father. That's priorities right now, right, for me. Okay. And then while I'm doing that, it's trying to chart that path for my career for the next 20 years. Right. So I spent 20 years in procurement. I know it. I love it. I can do it really well. I'm asking myself the question, where do I want my career to go for the next 20 years? And I think it's really about leveraging, again, finding the best ways to leverage my skills, my experiences, my insights to help people and organizations become. And I leave it at that because for me, the become is yours. I'm the instrument. What do you want to become? How can I help you? Right? What can I bring to the table to help you become? Done.
Let me just. Yes. And Orson, when we done with this episode, we gonna have a conversation about what the Kosh can become.
Oh, okay.
Hey, look, these conversations, they're for a purpose. I'm learning all the time. Not just me, but the Kosh listeners. If you weren't doing what you're doing right now, what would you like to be doing?
So many things. Two things come to mind, right? I love to travel. No, I don't love the process.
Facts.
Right?
Bruh.
Look, I get that.
Love the process.
I don't like TSA.
Although, shout out to the Appleton Airport, right?
Oh, yes.
Listen, when I compare, and so I'll jump around a little bit, right? So people go, why are you in Wisconsin? What is it about? I'm like, there's so many things about this area, particularly in the Appleton area, that we love. And I have a list of a couple of things. One of the things I talk about is the airport. So I compare Boston Logan Airport to ATW. Boston Logan Airport, you cannot have your car on that sidewalk for more than 2 seconds. They are constantly moving you, right? ATW, I park my car, take your luggage out, drop your people off. There's no one harassing you to move on, right? But again, you don't have to worry about taking advantage of it because, right, you take your time to say farewell or depart with your family. I dropped my mother off, my brothers off 2-3 weeks ago. They came to visit for holidays. And it was just such a relaxed, it was a relaxing experience to go through ATW Airport, right?
Yes.
They checked in. People were pleasant. Again, this Midwest nice. They were pleasant. You go through TSA. It's not a 2-hour line, right? And you get there and it's half an hour line. You're like, damn it, I'm late. Half an hour to get through TSA, right? In ATW. Yes. You get there, the concourse. I mean, they've done a wonderful job. I've been fortunate and blessed to see how ATW's evolved and how it's grown. It filled me with a sense of pride to see that this little airport runs so well, so efficiently, has such a... All right, then you hit Chicago and then, right, you're back to reality. I'm my God.
Then it gets real.
Oh, yeah.
But at least if you can go through the TSA in Appleton versus Chicago, that's a little bit better.
So love travel. And now, I like to say we are a global family. So I grew up in the Caribbean. My wife's from West Africa. And then we have family all over. My mother lives in Atlanta. I have a brother living in Trinidad. We have family in Australia. We have family in Europe, right? So we've grown to love it because you get to experience different cultures, different spaces, different environments. So if I could, and I had the wherewithal, I would travel more to have that experience. That's one. Okay. The other thing is, just in terms of my own passions, desires, dreams, I've always enjoyed animation. So my wife goes, you're a grown man, you're still watching cartoons. Oh, no, it's not cartoons. It's animation. And so if I go back to my childhood, my mother, Caribbean mother, right? She's like, no, you're not doing humanities. You're going to do science and you're going to do math. Right? Yeah. So there's a whole narrative on African Caribbean mothers on what the success looked like, right? But you made sure but I enjoyed architecture. I enjoyed design. My grandfather was an architect. He was one of the first architects in his community, right? And he was well respected, Lloyd Noel. And somehow that spiritual gift has come down through myself and my kids, my family. I see it. It wasn't able to be realized. But animation to me is take a story and bring it to life with pictures, moving pictures. No, not movies, because that is moving pictures as well, but something that you create yourself. And I remember trying to teach myself animation for a while, and I stopped because I'm like, I'm never going to realize this dream. But one of the first things they teach you is how how to animate a bouncing ball. And there's a science behind it, where you just think it's a picture of a ball that just drops and hits. But as it drops, each frame is different. And when you hit the frame where the ball connects with the floor or that whatever surface, then the ball itself distorts to become flatter, wider, and then recovers. And I'm like so fascinated by how an artist is able to make something that's inanimate look animate. And so as I look at a lot of these animations, I'm looking at their craft. I'm thinking, man, I wish I could do that, right? The one I was blown away by recently, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but a couple of years ago, the new Spider-Man franchise, right, Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
I was just so blown away by that animation, because they took the traditional anime format and they just said, nah, we're not going to do it that way. We're going to put additional images behind every image so it looks like it's wrong. It doesn't look as clean as like a Pixar or a Disney, right? Pixar and Disney it's immaculate, it's spotless. What I learned is they actually put the errors into the animation for that Into the Spider-Verse. And I'm like,
Oh, I didn't know that.
they actually they didn't make it immaculate. They put the errors into it that gives it that look and feel. And especially the last one, the one that just did, where there were multiple animation styles in that one animated picture. Oh, I'm very passionate about that stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Hey, animation. I'm about that life. I love some good animation. I like anime. Some good anime. But I digress.
Yeah.
I won't even go there. All right. You ready to jump into the first segment?
Let's go.
All right. The first segment is called What in the World is Going On With? That's where you start with the phrase, what in the world? And then you tell us what's on your mind. So, Orson, what's on your mind?
What in the world is going on with this Shannon Sharp, Cat Williams interview? This thing is just blowing up.
Facts.
Blowing up.
Yes. Did you watch any of it?
Oh my God. Like pieces here and there and here and there and here and there.
That's
right?
what I did.
It's almost like I haven't seen something like that. I'm trying to compare or think about an interview that I've seen like that between individuals like that. I'm like, there's nothing in my mind that I can pull.
I don't know if you can find some, because it's so what made that interview work the way it worked are the people, Shannon Sharp,
right,
and Cat Williams. And Cat Williams, being who Cat Williams is, there's a lot of talent going on there, right? So he's a comedian, which means he knows how to tell a story. He's an actor, so he knows how to act. And then he's Cat Williams. So just who he is, his presence, or at least what I perceive as the perception of who he is, all of that put together, and then you throw in Shannon Sharp.
Yeah.
That interview was fire. I couldn't turn away.
So then Cat's on an interview with someone else. I don't know his name. And it's not the same. Something about it and maybe it's the chemistry between Shannon Sharp and Cat that made for that. But I'm seeing Cat on other interviews now, and I'm like, something's missing.
Well, as someone who does an interview show, I'm going to say there's things that go into it, right? So there's definitely chemistry between your guest and, yourself. That matters, or the interviewer. And then setting matters. Like, what does it feel like where you're sitting and doing this? How comfortable do you feel? Now, I'm not going to lie. If you look at that Shannon Sharp setting, that's a nice little setting.
That's
It's got the couches, the fireplace, got you a nice little cocktail. Like, there's things.
Oh, you know what? These guys had a little bit of drinks.
Well, he started on fire before he took even a sip. So, I don't know if drinks had anything to do with that, but maybe by the end.
Well, you know what? I think what they call alcohol, social lubrication sometimes, right?
There's facts.
Right?
Yes, no doubt. So I'm with you on that. That interview, though, I'm not going to celebrate it fully because I'm not one for like talking about people like he went about and talked about everybody. Right? But I'm also not against people telling their truth. And so there's this balance, right? he had the right to say what he wanted to say because those are his experiences. That's his point of view. But I also share the point of view of I don't want to see successful grown black men talk about each other in negative light.
So that brings me to the second one in the world, right? And I don't follow these guys, but it's coming up on social media feeds, right? Stephen Anthony and Jason Whitlock, right? And I'm like, why is there beef between these two? And why is it getting so much play? When in a time when we can't afford that, right? We can't afford that kind of division.
Yes. I don't know. I actually don't know anything about that one. I just know that there's beef and that I'm like you. This stuff is popping up on my social media timeline, and I'm just like, okay, but I don't understand it. I just see them sending messages back and forth, and I'm just like, this don't make no sense either. Now, once again, two successful black men, and like I'm not saying we all got to get along by any means. But I am saying this: I don't like fighting in mixed company.
You know, it's what we call crab in the barrel syndrome, right? Mm-hmm. It's like there's enough for everyone.
Facts.
Why do you need to pull each other down?
Yes.
Right. Or more importantly, if you have beef, sit down and have a conversation about it.
Off camera.
Oh yeah. Why do we need to? Why? No, I think part of the challenge is, unfortunately, social media hypes the negative because people want this drama.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh,
so
yeah.
the algorithm is feeding us this drama, and we're thinking, oh, my God. For all you know, it might be nothing between them.
Yeah. They might be good.
But it might, the social media algorithm is feeding us this thing, and we're going, oh, my God, these guys are going to duke it out sometime.
I'm going to go, I don't think they good, but it might not be as bad as social media is trying to make it. Because, people get paid to hype the hype.
That is true.
So,
that is true.
Okay. I like those. All right. What in the world is going on with the NFL showing playoff games on social media, on streaming formats that aren't for everyone? And what I mean by this, there was a playoff game yesterday that was on Peacock, which is NBC's separate streaming service. So it was a playoff game, and it was for the Chiefs. And who did the Chiefs play? The Browns, right? Now, the problem with that is it was on Peacock, so that means it wasn't on regular TV.
Right.
It wasn't open on like NBC, CBS, something you can pull out of the sky and on your antenna to show on TV or anything like that. When did that happen? And that's kind of crappy. Like, so if you, let's say you don't have internet, you can't watch this playoff game. When did that become a thing? It's the playoffs. It's the NFL playoffs. You should be able to watch the playoff game on regular TV, free TV you can get over an antenna. This just feels so wrong. And like, what if you're just not tech savvy? What if you don't got a credit card so you can pay for Peacock streaming services?
Right.
There's just so many things. Like, I feel like for us people living here, like there's only there's very few things left that
you don't have to pay for.
Right. And playoffs for the NFL should remain one of those things. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, I'm advocating, and I'm not even a football fan. Like, I casually watch football. So football is not even my thing. I'm not like hung up on this. Like, I don't have strong feelings about it because I could take it or leave it. Right. But I'm going to go ahead and complain for the other people. Like, this don't feel right. And I'm not, and I don't know. Kosh listeners, I'm going to go on and throw that out there. How do y'all feel about it? Is it something you noticed? Is it something you have feelings about? I mean, what do you think?
So my default lens to almost everything that I see is about, okay, who's making money? Right?
Facts.
Especially as we live here in the U.S., it's usually about the dollar. So you kind of work your way back. Who's benefiting from having the playoff game on Peacock? And I'm like, it's the business, right? It's the business of the NFL.
But it can't be. because here's my thing. Okay, if money is made, now here's my business argument.
Yeah, yeah.
If money is made, TV is made for commercials, right? Make no mistake about it.
Right.
If people think TV is made and then they insert commercials, no. They make shows for the commercials because commercials is how everything is funded. Right? You're not going to get more eyes on advertisements having it on a private streaming service than you are putting it out there for everyone, right? If that's the business model and commercials pay the bills, and if I'm an advertiser, I want my stuff out there for the world to see. I want the biggest audience I can get.
I'm with you, but when's the last time you watched live TV?
Only when the sports are on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think what a lot of these businesses, all right, these businesses are looking at is not what happens today. What does the future portend? Because I can tell you, my kids don't watch live TV, right? So I'm looking at the future market and going, they're used to streaming. How do I start and build the foundation today for what will exist in the next 10 years? Right?
Yes.
And then you go, okay, the Times, New York Times, has successfully adopted the paywall model, right?
Yes.
And streaming services is about the paywall model. There's some free stuff, but you're going to pay for the rest. So I think, and I'm willing to be wrong here, right? I'm thinking, cast your mind 5 years from now, what does TV look like? It won't look like what it is today. So they're preparing for what will be in 5 years, right? Which I hope I'm wrong. You're going to be paid to watch the Super Bowl, right? On a streaming platform.
I don't think you're wrong.
It could be that.
Wow, you just blew that up.
Bruh.
Right?
Yes.
So it's about the dollars, and not the dollars you make today, dollars in the future. Because that shift in TV consumption is I'm sitting going, I'm still paying for this freaking cable from Spectrum. Why? Because I don't watch half of the channels there. Oh, no. But you know what? My kids watch Netflix, and they're watching YouTube, and they're watching all of the streaming service. They go straight to the streaming service.
Right.
So eventually, right, you're gonna have a whole generation that's growing up on TikTok and Snapchat and used to consuming their entertainment on a streaming platform.
Yes. You know,
so it's us now who are going, why are you doing this? I'm used to watching all my playoff games. I wouldn't be surprised if you get, okay, you talk about the playoff games and maybe you get pushed back today on playoffs. But in 3 years, what about the regular season games? Maybe that goes to streaming service.
So they're already there.
Yeah, there we go.
I don't know if you can. I mean, not for football per se. Football, those are still on the major networks for the most part, but that may change. You are right.
And then just keep in mind, right? When was it? So don't quote me on it. All right, this is something I heard of. But a lot of these entities, they're not making money on streaming right now, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got that volatility of demand. Yeah, I want Peacock today, and I cut it off tomorrow.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so they're like, we got to find a way to make money. So, okay, back to your point, your question. Who's making money? How are they going to make money? What's their business model? I think people are experimenting right now with that business model around streaming and trying to figure out what works, right? What's the customer willing to put up with? They'll complain a little bit, and then they're like, yeah. Eventually, they fork out the dollars for it.
Right. Good point.
Yeah.
Okay. Next segment. Next segment is called 21 Questions. This is where we're going to ask some questions. Definitely not 21 of them, but you might have 21 answers. All right. You ready to jump in?
Let's go.
All right. First question. What are you grateful for?
Yeah. It's interesting that you asked this question because this is a process I'm going through right now, right? It's being grateful for the moment. So I'm one of those high-functioning anxiety people, right? I think and worry about a lot of things, and I'm finding myself now becoming more present. So when we talk about gratitude, this moment right here that I'm experiencing with you, I got to be grateful for it because 2 years ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 days ago, didn't know if it would happen, and it's here, and it's here for a reason, right? The universe has provided me with this opportunity. I'm like, okay, be grateful for it because it could lead to something different. It could lead to something new. It could change someone's life. I don't know. Just grateful for this moment right here, right now. Because this moment was also realized because of loads of things that came in the past the influence of my wife and my kids and my friends and the resources that I have. And. So the moment I experience now is a function of everything that happened to me in the last 2 minutes, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 years, 2 decades.
What motivates you?
Opportunities to be that instrument to help my friends, my family, and my community become, right? So I like to say both my parents were teachers, and I've seen the impact that they've had on people's lives as teachers. So I may not be a teacher professionally, but spiritually, I have those gifts from my parents, particularly like my mom. And if you've seen the hundreds of students whose lives she's changed, who literally call her mother, right? By leveraging her gifts and her talents and her love for these people. And I'm like, talk about role models. That's what I want to be, right? And so like, what motivates me? I've got friends who are, hey, can you help me with this? And I'm like, yeah, how can I help? Right? I got a friend of mine, she called me the other day. She just got laid off, right? She's like, can you help me negotiate my severance? And I'm like, okay, that's going to be a tough one. I'm not a lawyer. But what I can do is help you negotiate through the feeling of the layoff and how you prep yourself for the future. Because it's not the end of the world, right? It's the start of something new. Now let's talk about what that newness looks like for you and how I can help you or be that one instrument in in the next step of your journey. That's what wakes me up in the morning.
What grounds you?
My family. I have an amazing wife who I've learned to appreciate what she brings to the family, right? She's a social networker. People come to her to ask her for advice and guidance and counsel. She's a listener, right? So just having the opportunity to experience her love is responsible. That's what's responsible for where I am today. That's one. My children, I like to say it's the two of the biggest things I've ever done in my life, in my children, or at least help do. My wife does most of the work, but
Bruh.
right. But just to be part of their lives, like my daughter, she is my wife times 3 or 4 or 10, just in terms of generosity of spirit. So every time I have time to engage with her, I'm like, who is this child? How am I blessed to have this person in my life? And my son, well, he is like 2-3 times me, which I'm like, I don't know how that's gonna turn out for you, but I mean, so level-headed, so calm. People go like, does anything fluster him? And I'm like, they're like, he's kind of like you. I'm like, nah, he takes it way beyond, right? But just to have, he pulled up to me the other day and he's like, yeah, he had a girl ask him out for a dance the other day, and I'm like, I get to hear this story from him. So like nothing else matters in that moment. When he's sitting with me having a father-son conversation, nothing else happens. Like I try to give attention to everyone who I talk to, but when my kids are having that conversation with me, it's like nothing else in the world matters in that moment. And so when I think about all the things I worry about, and then I go back to the family, right? It's the most grounding thing that I have, right? It just brings me back to center. Yeah.
What does success look like to you?
Yes, I think I may have mentioned this just now, right? Again, my mother is that role model of success. So she's been a teacher ever since I knew her, right? So 50-something years, right? The number of people's lives she's touched, the number of people whose careers she's helped shape. So she was a teacher, so what we call primary school, right, which is elementary, secondary. Now she's a professor at Georgia State University, right? And she mentors PhD students. So helping students get their PhDs, right? And the number of students who just openly say, oh my success to her, and the way she's been able to shape how they approach their careers, I'm like, if when I pass from this earth, I'd love to be able to know that I had that kind of impact. Similar to my own mentor, Shelley Stewart. He's been a leading African-American in the supply chain and procurement field. He has mentored hundreds of people, particularly black professionals, right? He saw me at Howard University, plucked me out and go, yeah, you, come work with me, right? And I'll always remember one of the lessons he taught me. So I'm sitting in the office. This was when I worked in New Jersey. I sit in the office and I'm doing work. I got headphones on and I'm working. Shelly comes around the desk. He's like, Orson, come, let me show you something. Okay. So I go up with him. So he takes me to the top floor. This is the CEO suite, right? He's like, I want you to look around at everybody here. You see anybody with headphones on? You see anybody doing that? Look at how they're working. Okay. That's what you should be aspiring to. That's the standard you need to hold yourself to. Got it, Shelly. Got it, Shelly. And he's the kind of person, you know, that you ever meet people who you want to work for? They're just that charismatic, but also driven and so connected. I'm like, I don't want to ever disappoint that guy, right? Success to me looks like a person like him who's being able to impact people's lives. Now, I'm not looking to impact hundreds of thousands of people's lives, but you know what? I feel like I'm a success if I've impacted one person's life a week. I would say to my teams, when I leave you or when we depart ways, I would feel fulfilled if I've been able to have a positive impact on your life. Done. No, it's a two-way street. You must want it. I'm not going to force myself on you. But if I can, I will. And if I don't, I feel like I haven't done my job.
What irritates you?
It's like I got home yesterday and I'm ready to watch I think one of the games. I can't remember. I spent 5 minutes looking for the remote. 5 minutes. We have our living room, right? No, I have two remotes I have to manage, right? So to watch TV, I have two devices that I need. Right? 5 minutes for the remote. Where was the remote? Tucked under the couch, one of the seats of the couch, and the other one is there. And I'm like, who moved the remote? My God, put the remote where it's supposed to be, right? Put it there, right? My wife, love my wife. So lots of things she does, and I've had to adjust my thinking, right? She'll come home and she'll put the keys wherever. And then when she's ready to go, she can't find the keys. That'll never happen to me because when I get home, the keys go in one place. There's one place the keys live. One place. That's it. When I'm ready to go, boom. I don't want to have to spend 10 minutes looking for the keys because I've already planned out my drive. Half an hour to get to Timber, right?
Right.
I'm going to get there 5 minutes before, right?
Right.
Half an hour to get dressed. My trips are planned. I do not factor in 10 minutes to look for keys. So my pet peeve is put things where they're supposed to be. There's a place where the milk lives. There's a place where the knives lives. There's a place where the keys lives. There's a place where the remote lives, right? Now, what I've had to do is adjust and go, okay, so maybe not everybody thinks that things live in a certain place. What do I? That's not their problem. That's my problem, right? But as much as I try, it pisses me off to no end when something isn't where it's supposed to be. I can't live like that.
Ooh, I think you might have spoke for a lot of people right there, Orson. There's a number of individuals right now who are like,
God.
Yes, someone said it out loud.
I'm bordering on OCD or what.
What scares you?
Ooh, this one was a little tough for me to answer because I was trying to figure out the difference. I was thinking through the difference between worry/anxiety and fear, right? And so my mind is always working, right? My initial career was a banker and risk management, and then I got into supply chain. So it's like, what can go wrong? Okay, let's try to figure it out ahead of time. So my mind is always working. And so I have that anxiety versus fear, which is this thing is going to happen and, right, I'm paralyzed, right? I think fundamentally to my core, right, what scares me is being irrelevant, not fulfilling my purpose, right? So I come back again to what motivates me, right? What scares me is not being able to do what I'm supposed to do. That's the fear. So that's deeper than the anxiety, right? And so I get up every morning going, oh, right, so I end the day going, did I do something good today, right? And if not, why not? Not that I go down that rabbit hole of anxiety. but I'm most scared of not being relevant to the people around me, right? Like, so the anxiety is a norm for me, like political division and, will my kids find a job, and what am I going to do about ailing parents, and just so many things outside of your control fill you with anxiety. For me, fear is there something that I can control that I'm not doing, right? And then so then what's more important for me then is as I've identified that fear, it's what am I doing to counter it? Because, the anxiety is easy to address because I could always overthink something, whereas the fear is it's within me. I should do something. Don't let all these other things distract you, because I'm going to get up one morning and go, damn it. I didn't do what I was supposed to do because I spent time worrying about or addressing or acting on the anxieties instead of the core purpose.
What recharges your soul?
It's a combination of connection and alone time. So I don't like to use the label introvert, extrovert, but it's it's easier to use as a description. In my desire to be that instrument, it takes energy out of me, right? So end of the day, I'm drained. Sometimes I need time alone to recover. When my wife first met me, she was somewhat intrigued. She's like, "You'll go to a movie by yourself?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm one of those guys you'll see walk into a movie by themselves, sit and watch a whole movie and leave and be very comfortable. I'm one person, I'll go to have dinner by myself, nice restaurant, sit down, enjoy the meal. I'm comfortable with that. She's like, "You are weird." But I'll still marry you. Right. Right. But also there are people who you can connect with who recharge you. And it's just there are some people who recharge you and some people who drain you. And so I have a few friends who I'll have conversations with because we feed off each other. We draw energy from wherever and then share that energy between us, right? Like my friend Yawasari, right? We have the business with. He and I will sit down and talk strategy for hours. And then I'll go, "Okay, Yaw, enough. We're good. Let's go do some stuff now," right? To draw that energy down. But we'll sit down and so that connection with the right people, but that alone time for me is important.
How do you define love?
It's that willingness and commitment to give of yourself regardless of the consequences. So it's not just the feeling, right? Because the feelings come and go, right? Feelings change with circumstance, and feelings change with belief. But once you commit and you demonstrate that willingness to give, regardless of the outcomes or the consequence, I think that's when you demonstrate love.
What is the most memorable life lesson you learned from your parents, guardian, mentors?
Well, I told you about Shelly. That was one. As I went through this question, I remember that conversation my mother and I had and have had over and over and over again, right? In the context of friends, family, and whatnot, right? You can only give what you have. And that's important in terms of understanding how you interact with someone and what you should expect from others, right? I see a lot of people angry, frustrated in their relationships with whoever because they're not getting what they want. And I always look at it and go, well, do you know if the person has the thing you want from them? Because they can't give it if they don't have it, right? Mm-hmm. So here you are frustrated with that person because they're not giving you what you want, but you haven't asked yourself or you haven't made the inquiry, do they have to give what I want? Similarly with other people, right? People may be frustrated with you. Do they know whether or not you have that thing to give? And so that was one of the early lessons I learned from my mother in terms of relationships with other people. Always ask the question, can they give you what you're looking for? Because if they can't, why are you then holding them to a standard that's impossible to achieve?
I just want to give the applause for this whole segment. Orson, that was fire. That was
fun.
That was some good 21 questions right there. That was quality. Okay. We ready for the next segment?
Let's go.
Okay, the next segment is called Word Association. This is where I say a word to you and you tell us what comes to your mind. We always start off with the greatest word, the word that unifies us all, the word that brings us all together. And that word is food.
Food is emotion, feeling. Interesting difference between my wife and myself. She'll eat because she has to, right? She's like, it's food. I need food. And I'll be like sitting down going, what do I feel for right now? And I'm imagining the food and the emotion that I want to feel in that moment, right? So peanut butter. Love me some peanut butter. It's a comfort food for me. If I have a crappy day, give me a bread and peanut butter sandwich and I will be happy.
Yeah?
Right?
Yeah.
Bread and peanut. So the peanut. And so for me, the food is a whole experience, right? It's the taste and it's the texture and then it's the feeling and it's the memory of when did I first have peanut butter and what were the joys that I experienced with peanut butter. My wife, West Africa, they have peanut soup, right? The first time she said peanut soup, I'm like, that can't be good. How you put peanut butter in water and put meats in it? No. And then she made the peanut soup and timber. I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever had.
Bruh.
Peanut soup? You take my favorite food, right? Peanut butter, and you put it in a soup, and you put chicken with that,
Oh, man.
or some goat meat, or some beef.
Why you messing with me, man?
Hey,
I'm all in on
listen.
this. I
And then
want
you-
some peanut soup.
Then you put some rice balls with that. Listen, and then when I talk about food, the description of the food, the sight of the food, the smell of the, how could that not instill an emotion for you, right? So important. But as I think about that, I also think about the immigrant experience, right? And how blessed we are, right? Not immigrants, people with food, but there are people out there who don't.
Right.
And hats off to Lisa Cruz and the Multicultural Initiative. They're working on the food insecurity program.
Big shout out to Lisa
Right.
and her team.
And, we take for granted, especially here, right? You eat the food you eat, right? But if an immigrant come in here in Wisconsin, sometimes the foods that you're used to, you can't access, right? So my wife has blessed me with her West African food. But man, I miss some pilau and doubles and roti from Trinidad because, again, the emotion, the feeling. My brother came up for Christmas. He brought doubles, which is fried chickpeas sort of in a patty with chickpeas and condiments in it. Well, we had that for breakfast, and I had like 4 of them. And I'm just eating that and just remembering home and remembering standing on the side of the street, eating this thing for breakfast before you go to work and going to parties. And, food equal emotion for me.
Facts. And now I must be invited by your house for peanut soup. I'm just saying, hey, you shouldn't have talked that up so good, man. Because now I'm curious. Like I must have some peanut soup. I don't have to come to the crib. If you can make it, you can just drop that off.
We'll hook you up.
Yeah, just drop that off.
We'll hook you up.
Cocktail or beer?
Not a big part of my repertoire in terms of drinks, right? I'll do either. The one that I know is my go-to is Malibu and pineapple juice because I like fruit.
Yes.
I grew up in the Caribbean, all right, but I have a particular passion for fruit. So I'll do that. I'll mention one beer, though, that caught my attention as my go-to. Appleton Beer Factory. Juicy McJuice Face. Try that beer.
Yeah.
Juicy McJuice Face. I'm sitting there and going, what is that? The name alone got me. And then I tasted that thing. Oh, my God. Every time we go down to Appleton Beer Factory, like, hey, Juicy McJuice Face. I'll have that.
That's my joint. I love the Appleton Beer Factory.
They are.
Send a big fat shout out to my man Skinny there.
There we go.
Yes, that's just a cool establishment. I've been there for some shows.
Yeah. They have that little area in the back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
They're-
cool
they're-
stuff.
yeah.
Shop local.
Small business, right? So it's part and parcel of my life right now, right? Small business with Gold Coast Candy and my business partner. But then I'm interacting with a lot of other business owners. So my wife and her friend, they own Chic Beauty Supply. Shout out to Chic Beauty Supply on College Ave. Be Chic, Be You. Tapa's Barber Shop. Intrigue. Amy and Josh Woods, who have Favorite Brand. I mean, like, I'm just interacting with all of these small business owners and walking in the space, and it's so fulfilling. I mean, where we share the stories of our own trials, tribulations, successes, worries, doubts. But Shop Local, I think about small business and what we're going through to make our dreams come true.
You know, for the Kosh listeners, I just want to mention that for your business, just so they can also, it relates, you've been at the Oshkosh Farmers Market.
Oh, I'd like to think we're a staple.
Right?
No,
yeah.
we've been doing it about 3 years.
Okay.
Lots of support from Michelle, the market manager. She's been phenomenal. She's one of our biggest fans, I think, I hope. Much love to Michelle. But yeah, you know, Oshkosh, we love Oshkosh. We love the Oshkosh market. We'll be there on the 27th. That's the next market.
Do you? So you do the indoor one too?
Oh yeah.
Okay. That's what's up.
I think so. We're based out of Appleton. So the summer market, we're there. Our next biggest market is Oshkosh, right? And Oshkosh has shown a lot of love. And because of that market, we were able to also have our Brittles and our candies at the Oshkosh Food Co-op. And then we're also at Planet Perk.
Nice.
Right. So Oshkosh has been a wonderful community for us.
Concert.
So the concert experience as it exists here in the U.S., what I've seen are big stadiums and whatnot. It's not something I'm familiar with. I've seen them. Growing up at home, we would have these little mini concerts, right? So grew up in Trinidad. Our local music is called Calypso and there's soca. And at least as I was growing up, so 70s, 80s, early 90s, we had these venues called Calypso tents. So think of a spot like Appleton Beer Factory, about that size, a stage, and maybe you pack 300 people in that, right? And so you'd have these performances, right? These Calypsonians come through, and each tent, it was kind of like a rivalry among each tent, right? But you'd go as participants and listen to 5, 6, 10 Calypsonians sing, right? And so they would do their whole repertoire, right? And they'd have new songs every season, right? That's my experience of concerts, right? But then there were a couple people who you really latched on to. And so if anyone's interested, one of our premier Calypsonians, at least for my generation, his name is David Rudder. And one of the few concerts, so this is outside of a tent, where he had his own performance. He performed for 2-3 hours. David, he is the best for me, for my generation, for my experience, right? And what I miss is that opportunity to hear that kind of music, right? Because, you know, part of recharging is connecting to your roots. So I would listen to his music over and over again. But David Rudder had one of the best concerts I've ever done in my entire life, because his music is like a story, and he would go through all the chapters, and each chapter you had a rise and a fall, right? An emotion associated with it. 1 minute you're happy, 1 minute you're sad, 1 minute you're thinking, 1 minute you're rejoicing, right? And he has 2 songs that are my favorite. One is called Trini to the Bone, right? Where it celebrates your Trininess, right? So I don't know if I mentioned, grew up in Trinidad and Tobago, so we call ourselves Trinis. So Trini to the Bone. And then the second song, which is to me is like a praise song, because it's called High Mass. So he took the Lord's Prayer, changed the words up, and he made it into sort of like a gospel type, where it celebrates carnival and what we call mass, masquerade, mass, high mass. And it's one of the best songs ever, I think, by a Calypsonian of his generation.
Streaming.
Guilty pleasure. I spend way too much time watching. Way too much time.
Facts.
Watching stuff. Way too much time. You know, and I justify it by saying, you know, it's my downtime, right? But it's addictive, right?
It is. It's highly addictive.
I spent 5 hours. I watched the latest Marvel installment, Echo.
Oh, I'm about to.
And I streamed it in I think within a day or two.
Yeah, I'm about to go on. I'm going to do exactly what you just did.
Yeah.
I have no shame about it. None.
Bruh.
Guilty pleasure.
Entrepreneurship.
Work, hard work. Hard work, but enjoyable. There's something to be said for having your own, and it might look glamorous, right? But it is hard. There's a phrase that I'm using right now to help me keep me grounded, right? I'm walking my path, but it's hard work, right? And so as I walk this path, right, I'm looking at the path I used to walk, and that path is clear. It's like a 2-lane highway. You got your divider line, and cars are zooming by, and my path is stones and mud and rocks and boulders, and it's zigzaggy, and there's thickets, and you're getting cut, and you feel like you're about to fall, and you're like, man, that other path looks pretty good about now. But somebody owns that path, right? Or at least you feel like you own your own path. Whole long story on its own, right? But that you feel like you own this path, but it's hard, but it's yours, right? And to me, that's the entrepreneurship path. Because at some point, you got to believe it won't be that shiny highway, but it's going to be smoother,
Right.
wider.
Right.
It'll still have its zigs and zags and its turns, right? But it's your path to walk.
Last word.
Mm-hmm.
Diversity.
This one was a fun one. Home. So Trinidad and Tobago, 40% of our population is of African descent, 40% of the population is of East Indian descent, and the rest, the 20%, is French Creole or white, as we call it, Syrian, Lebanese, Chinese. So I grew up with diversity as a norm. I'd sit in a classroom, and my classroom had black students, East Indian students, white students, Syrian students, all of us. And we were all friends, right? In Trinidad, we celebrate all of the major religious holidays, right? Eid, Diwali, Christmas, public holidays, your leadership. They were as diverse as they come. The foods we eat, right? I mentioned before, roti, East Indian, gyros, Chinese food. Right? Even some of the foods we have are fusion foods, and that was like norm. So when people talk about diversity here, I'm like, I see you're trying, but
Bruh.
you're trying.
We be trying.
You're
Be
trying.
trying.
Yeah, you're trying, but I'm like, it was a norm for me. I lived it. Now, at the same time, I know I've seen the negatives, right? It isn't hard to exploit the divisions or the differences, particularly for political ends, right? Every election, you know how people are going to vote, right? There was an East Indian dominant party and there's an African dominant party, and people would vote along those lines. And during the election time, people start becoming divided. As soon as the election is done, everybody's back to normal, right? Right. I'm still going to eat the food from my Indian friends. I'm still going to eat the Chinese food. I'm still going to eat the Syrian food, the Lebanese food. We're doing that every day, right? And a lot of the creativity that exists in the country is because we took from each other and we blended it to create something that didn't exist before. The strength in the diversity was there, but the weakness is ability to exploit that division. It wasn't hard to exploit that division.
Ooh, that is a pretty good assessment of where our challenges are.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even from the lens here. Right?
Right.
But it's common. I mean, it's the same. Okay. Next segment. The next segment is called the Kosh Hidden Gems. This is your opportunity to share a hidden gem. Now, this hidden gem can be something everybody knows about, but they don't know the certain details about it, or it could be something maybe people don't know that much about. But nonetheless, it can be in the Kosh, it can be in the Fox Cities, or it can be outside of even that.
Oh, okay.
What is your hidden gem?
The one that came to mind readily, I know I keep talking about food.
And I ain't mad at you over that one.
I don't know if I'm sure people at least in the Appleton area, this might be common. The Whisk and Arrow in Appleton off Richmond. One of the best croissants I've ever had in my life. Listen, the thing is huge, right?
Yeah.
And it's soft. And I think I did a ham and cheese. It is just right. I think the owner, she's not US born. Okay. So I won't make the mistake of saying where. I think she's South American. But another business owner trying to make it. But one of the foods I discovered when I came to the US was croissants. I love bread. And so you take a croissant and you put the right ingredients together.
Facts.
It is just, and so not only do they have croissants, but they have a range of desserts. And you walk into that store and the layout is just immaculate. I'm looking at it right now. It's light, it's bright. You can see the team members working on presenting and providing everything that the customer wants. The atmosphere is just light and refreshing. But they're in a spot that has had several businesses turnover since I've been here.
Right.
Yeah. It's a wonderful spot. But I just wanted to call that out because I'm like, I think that's a hidden gem, at least in the Appleton area.
I think I'm about to go try one of these croissants.
Yay. Try it.
I'm about that life. Okay. Well, you know what we're going to do right now? We're going to take a quick commercial break.
Get that commercial.
Did you know there are children in the Fox Valley in need of hearing aids, but their parents struggle to provide them because of lack of insurance or high copays? I am Juliette Sturkins, audiologist and board member of Here in the Fox Cities, and proud that this small local nonprofit organization has helped fund hearing aids for some 30 kids. Your donation would help more children hear. Visit hereinthefoxcities.org to learn more and to see their smiles. Every child deserves to hear.
Okay, we are back. Once again, I just want to put out there to the Kosh listeners, especially to our nonprofits in the region, if you are interested and would like a commercial, I give commercials away for free to nonprofits. So just reach out to us at askthekosh@gmail.com and let's have a conversation and let's see if we can make that happen if anyone out there is interested. If you are a business and you would like to have a commercial here on the Kosh, you can also reach out to me too. That just won't be for free. Hey, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. The Kosh is growing. Okay, so now it is time for my favorite segment in the show, and that is called Story Time. And Story Time is an opportunity for our guest to tell a story. And the story can be about absolutely anything. That's it.
All right.
Orson, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
All right. So one of the stories I like to tell is about Wisconsin Nice.
Ooh,
Right.
okay.
Wisconsin. It's a real thing. So growing up in the Caribbean, we had a very informal experience when it comes to relating to people, right?
Right.
I don't know if informal is the right word. Very open, very free. You talk to each other without airs, depending on where you exist, right? So that may or may not be true. But anyway, there was a niceness about the interaction, right?
Right.
So moved to the US, lived in, like I said, Maryland, Washington, East Coast, right? Where my experience is people are always busy. Get things done, right? Move, go. Particularly in a place like New York or New Jersey, right? Where it's get in, get out, you're done.
Right.
So then we moved to Wisconsin. And I remember my wife and I driving around Appleton looking for a house. So yeah, we're driving around the subdivision that we particularly like where we live now. And then somebody waves. And I go, do you know that person? Like, no, we don't know that person. So one. We're driving around and, somebody's walking by and they wave again. Like, what? Okay. Now, while we're doing this, we were living in Massachusetts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plainville was the town we lived in. So maybe 40 minutes outside of Boston, 15, 20 minutes from Rhode Island, where we lived in a carriage home, right? So one single building, 5, where we knew our neighbor to the right of us, and we didn't know our neighbors to the left, and we barely knew anybody in that building. So if that building caught fire, I don't think I would know who else was in that occupying that building, because you just didn't know them, right?
Right.
So that was our experience, and we're going, okay, that's what we should expect. So people are waving, and we finally settled down in that house, and we got invitations to a house party from people in the neighborhood. And I'm like, we hadn't been there for like 2 months. People are inviting to your house and like, how you doing? And da-da-da. We got housewarming gifts. I'm like, okay. And so, we're still here. We just moved in. And I remember going to a Target, the local Target, or it was TJ Maxx, one of the two. And I'm standing there, and a lady turns around. Little older lady, right? She's probably she was a grandma. She turns around and she starts telling me, my grandson is graduating, and I'm so proud. I'm so happy. And she's giving me the whole story of her family, and, and they're having, and she's like, would you like to come over? And I'm like, in my mind, lady, you have no idea who I am. And you're inviting me to your house. You don't know me from Adam, right? And you're just giving me all of your stories, but very nice, right? A couple of weeks later, right? My wife is just dropped the kids to school, and she's coming home. And this was during snow. And she was making a turn into our subdivision, slid into a snowbank. Boom. She was on a call at the time. She was work call, and she slid into a snowbank. And so she's stuck. And she's telling me, people are coming out of their houses to help her get her car out, right?
Yep.
And then like one lady in her, a gentleman or lady in a robe, and right to sleep, and they're digging her out, and they push the car, and then she's home, and she's like, I don't know what just happened, right? If we were living in Massachusetts, you probably have to call AAA, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. To round this out, so now I'm sitting in a meeting. So this happens in the space of a year, right?
Right.
I'm sitting on Starbucks on College Ave. College and no, not College, Richmond and Northland.
Okay.
And I'm having a business meeting. And a guy, a colleague of mine. So a guy walks up. Just any guy, random guy, don't know him.
Right.
So he starts having a conversation. Hey guys, how you doing? And and he's like, and I look at him and go, dude, we're in a meeting here. What do you need? Right?
Right.
And in that moment, my colleague, I could see him visibly embarrassed.
Oh.
Right? Because I cut this guy off and I go, dude, what do you need? Get to the point. And the guy looks at me and goes, you don't have to be an asshole about it. And he walks off. And I step back and I go, shoot, I was. But that's what I used to do. And that's how you operate. I'm being very general. So I'm not saying everyone in the East Coast is like that.
Right.
But that vibe in the East Coast is, hey, you want to have a conversation? Let's get to it and be done. Right?
Right.
Whereas here it's, hey, how are you doing? How's your day? How's the family? Then we get to the topic.
Right.
Then we follow like, well, hope you have a good day. Good. Watch out for the deer. Right? Whatever, right?
Yeah.
I say all of that to say Wisconsin nice is so real. And I'm like, I've not experienced anything like this in the different places I've lived in the U.S. So much so, I'd spent a year and a half here. And then I made a trip to San Francisco to our business meeting. I got up and I'm saying good morning to everyone, and people I'm like, oh shoot, I'm not in Wisconsin anymore. I forgot.
Bruh.
Right? I just it was so easy to fall into the, hey, good morning, how are you? Connect with people. Then I left the state and went out. I'm like, yeah, no, you can't do that here.
Now people start looking at you funny.
Right?
They're trying to figure, what are you up to?
Wisconsin nice is real. And so I say that, and my story is, it felt like home. It felt like Trinidad. It felt like growing up where you would see someone and you'd say good morning. And you'd be genuinely interested to the extent you have time, right? Or
Right.
you'd make time. And what's going on with you, right? Have a good conversation. And then versus my experience on the East Coast where it was, let's get down to business.
Right.
Because we are about making some dollars here, right?
Right.
Or about getting things done. And maybe I might care about what's going on in your life, but really, no, right? And move on, right? No, I don't. I take that at face value, right? My experience here is I'm taking it at face value. You say good morning, you're interested, you care. Maybe you don't. But my experience is it feels like you do. And so I say to people when they're like, you live in Wisconsin? Why you live in Wisconsin? I was like, because Wisconsin nice is a real thing, people. And I tell people who live here, don't take it for granted. Wisconsin nice is real. No, I say Wisconsin nice, right? No, I'm generalizing.
Right.
Because I can't say this is what pertains in Madison or Eau Claire or Milwaukee or, right? But I'm giving Wisconsin the benefit of the doubt, the Midwest, the benefit of the doubt, because my experience on the East Coast is very, very different.
That makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to say Wisconsin also ain't always nice.
I've had a couple stories where I'm like, listen, why am I here? But
yeah,
generally,
I do know exactly what you mean.
I mean, everywhere has its problems.
It's got its challenges.
Everyone has.
It's got its challenges.
Yeah.
But no, Wisconsin nice. I do agree with you. It's a thing, especially if you compare it to other places in like major metropolitan regions.
Correct. The frustrating thing for me at one point is was the work environment in a Wisconsin nice environment, right? I was used to, you sit in a meeting, you're like, let's go.
Right.
Whereas it's 10 minutes about, well, how was that football game? How are the Packers doing?
Yeah. How about those Packers?
Right?
Yeah.
Which, talk about pet peeves. It's like 10 minutes on the Packers before you start a meeting. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
See, but you got to use it to your advantage.
I know.
You know, the one thing I learned this when I was in insurance, the Packers is that safe common ground that anyone can talk about, good, bad, or indifferent, right? So you can always, I don't care who you were sitting across from me, 8 to 80, if I said, how about those Packers, you were going to get an opinion about how they felt, right? And you didn't have to agree with how they felt, but it was a neutral ground. It was better than the weather. You can say, I don't know about this weather, right? But if you ask somebody, how about those Packers? Like, everyone's got an opinion about it, good, bad, or indifferent, but it's a good, neutral conversation. It's a connection point.
That is true. I never thought about it that way.
Oh, yeah. And it's just, and then you can move on, right? Because at least there was some type of bonding.
Right.
That happened over that question.
See, I think for me, the problem is I don't have that grounding in the Packers.
Oh, yeah.
So the conversations feel alien to me.
Oh, you just need to know a little bit. You don't need to know a lot. You just need to know,
just enough to get the conversation going.
You need to know if they won or not.
Oh.
And if they screwed it up or not.
Right.
That's it. You don't need to know nothing else.
But it's interesting, though. And so generalization is never a good thing, right?
Right.
But I do recall, and I kept this to myself because I'm like, okay, let's see. Beginning of this season, I remember a guy going, Jason Love ain't the guy. He ain't the guy. And look where he is now, right?
Right.
It's that and so this is one individual, a couple of individuals. I'm not saying this is a general Packer, right? But it reminded me of the time I spent in Pennsylvania with Philly.
Ooh.
Oh my God, those guys. But they were consistent. They were consistently hard on that team.
Oh yeah, Philly. There's just no love. Right. There's a couple of things that you understand. Like Philly, any of those markets in the East Coast market, you gonna have a hard life. Yeah. And I don't care if you win a Super Bowl, they still don't like you.
Oh God,
not that much. They might give you a pass for a week.
Well. Yeah. Now, having lived in Massachusetts for 5 years, we settled on the Patriots.
Oh, yeah. Right? They Brady walks on water.
And then for a while, it's like, yeah, Bill could. And then they're like, no. Bill's secret was Brady. Bill's secret was Brady.
You think it's exposed?
I think the combination of the two
presented
something unique that no other franchise could replicate.
Yeah,
once the two separated, you're like,
it's not the same.
Yeah,
I'm not going to take anything away from Bill Belichick, right? Because I do think, look, a team wins.
Yes,
a team wins, not an individual win. A team wins. So whether Brady was great or not, he managed the rest of the team, in there, so you got to give him his credit, and I'm not going to take anything away from him.
But so again, having lived in Massachusetts, I never heard Patriots fans. I heard a loyalty with Patriots fans that is akin to what I see
Packer
with
fans.
the Packer fans.
Right. Yeah. And
Deflate Gate? What are you talking about? He didn't deflate any balls. You guys are making that up.
oh heck no, they definitely not admitting that. That ain't going down.
There's a loyalty there that I see. But in my experience, it's even more on the Patriots. It was even more. But then you had a winning team, right? So you could afford to be positive most of the time because Brady was just knocking it out time after time after time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. I love that. All right. I'm going to give that a... That's a good story. That's a good conversation. Okay. Well, I want to take a quick moment to mention, hey, if you didn't know, the Kosh is sponsored by this amazing business. Amazing business. This place, I call it the church. My church, where I like to go, have some libations, and have a great time. It's called Sturgeon Spirits. Sturgeon Spirits Craft Distillery, the Kosh's newest tradition. And if you've not been there yet, you should go check it out. And I'm going to give you what my secret drink is. My drink is the perfect pear. And if you prefer sweet a little bit, do the perfect blackberry, which is fantastic. All right. Now, it's that time, Orson. Oh, I think you know. Let me do this here. Every single time. I love it. Every single time. It is now time for the topic of the week. The topic of the week is chosen by our guests 99.9% of the time, and this week is no different. Orson, what's our topic of the week?
So, shameless self-plug.
Yes.
I want to talk about Gold Coast candy a little bit.
Let's go. Hey, there is no such thing as a shameful plug on the Kosh. Plug away. Let's go.
But before we do, so Sturgeon Spirits,
Yes.
is it just beer or do they do cocktails?
No, there is no beer. It is only cocktails. And it's only their craft distilled
And they're based
spirits.
They're based in Oshkosh.
Yes.
I gotta check them out then.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, you need to check them out.
Okay.
Like, it's a great, and the atmosphere. It's not only do they make these, and these are personalized, handcrafted cocktails, but what I love even more is the atmosphere. It has this amazing atmosphere. You know what they don't have in there? TVs. Ain't no TVs in this establishment.
That's not a bad thing.
No, and you know what else it feels like? Have you ever, you like animation, right?
Yeah.
You know Dexter's Laboratory?
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. Because right behind you actually have a glass window to where the distilling happens.
Okay, so you can see the process.
You can see it. And all of the bottles come where they're serving from, because these are all things that they have created, right? These bottles look like the things where there's a label on it and there's stuff like garlic vodka. Where are you going to get a garlic vodka? That's crazy. But is it good? You doggone right it's good. You put it in the right things.
Okay.
They got a scorpion pepper vodka.
Okay.
So my perfect pear is made up of pear vodka, habanero vodka, and sour. And not just any sour.
Wow.
This amazing top-notch sour. So, like, I'm not even kidding y'all. Y'all need to go check this out.
All right.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't only ask people to help me experience new things. I take people for new experiences. So, Orson, this one's on me. I'm going to take you to Sturgeon Spirits.
We're there.
100.
Okay, good.
All right.
So let me tell you about Gold Coast Candy. Mentioned at the top of the program that I'm involved with a business. So my good friend Yawasari and I own Gold Coast Candy. So Gold Coast Candy is an artisan candy manufacturer that focuses on toffees, caramels, chocolates, brittles, and candied pecans. And we're a full-service, high-touch confectionery that owns a retail establishment, but we also do wholesale and gifting. Within Gold Coast Candy, we right now have 2 brands. We have Sharay's Ghana-style brittle, very different from your traditional brittle. Our brittles are easy to bite into. You get rich nut flavor, and they don't stick to your teeth like traditional brittle.
Okay.
And then we have Sweet Peas Pantry. It's where we have our manufacturing, production, and retail location in Oconomowoc. And that is where we do our traditional candies, our toffees, candied pecans, whatnot, and gifting. And so the Sweet Peas brand is new to Gold Coast Candy. We acquired the production facility in May of 2023. And with it, we got these additional candies. But what we're really excited for and what we're known for is the Sharay's Ghana-style brittle.
Right.
Where we have our peanut brittle, our cashew brittle, pistachio brittle, pecan brittle, and a 3-seed brittle. And what I like to say is each of our brittles is like a child that has its own personality. Peanut brittle.
I feel
Bruh.
I'm liking
The
it.
peanut brittle, we call it Simply Delicious. Right? Everyone knows peanut brittle. But with the way we make our brittles, where we chop the nuts, use caramelized cane sugar, salt, water, and a little bit of citric acid for stability, you get that different brittle experience. And so peanut, we call it Simply Delicious. Cashew, we call that the smoothest brittle you'll ever taste. The cashew nut is a very soft, not a very strong flavored nut, but soft. So when we take our recipe and you apply it to cashew, you get a creamy, nice, soft taste to it. Our pecan brittle, we call that the perfect brittle. Pecan is a sweet and savory nut. So again, you take our recipe and you apply that to our pecan brittle. It's perfect. It's not too sweet, not too salty. It's just perfect. Our 3-seed brittle, we call that the amazing brittle. So we have customers who can't eat nuts. And so we said, oh, let's take our recipe and apply it to pumpkin, sesame, and sunflower seeds.
Oh.
So it's a very different flavor profile. That combination of those seeds, we have one customer, when she comes to the market, she buys 6 at a time. She's like, I don't know when I'm going to see you guys. I'm stocking up. And then we have our pistachio, which we call the adventure in your mouth.
Okay.
The pistachio nut, if anybody who likes pistachios, pistachio has a very, very distinct, powerful taste.
Facts. I'm
Flavor,
here. I'm here
right?
for it.
So you take our recipe where you crush the nuts and you add adventure in your mouth. Actually, pistachio won 2nd place at the Wisconsin State Fair last year in the Season of Sugary Sweets segment or division. And the peanut got 3rd place. So we actually have 2 State Fair winning brittles in our portfolio.
Wow.
Next year, fingers crossed, next year, we're in 2024. This year, we're working on chocolate covered brittle. Take our recipe and apply dark or milk chocolate to our brittle.
Can I throw something in there?
Tell me.
I am a white chocolate person. If you can throw some white chocolate on that brittle, now we can talk. Let's talk about
Timber, we will do white chocolate just for you.
Hey,
Just for you.
You heard it here on the Kosh.
Bring it in. We'll drop it off. Wait, you know what? Here's the idea. You will be offering your guests white chocolate brittle as you guys talk. You are snacking on some brittle.
Yes.
And you'll be like, this segment brought to you by Sharay's Ghana-style brittle. White chocolate brittle.
Hey, you know what? I'm glad you said it, and that's probably going to happen in the future. You heard it here first. We're already planning this out.
We will make it happen.
Okay.
Right, so we got that brittles. But so with the Sharay's brand, right, on the Gold Coast, the intent has been and will continue to be to provide West African or African inspired treats to the community. Mm-hmm. So here's how we started. My friend Yao, again, talking about food, grew up in West Africa, grew up in Ghana, ate a snack called Nkati cake, which literally means in the tree language, right? Peanut cake. He looked for it in the US, couldn't find it. He decided he'd do it himself. Got a recipe book from home, made a couple at home, tried it out, gave it to a few friends and family, me included, and I'm like, you have a winner here. You got a winner. What are you going to do with it? So he commercialized it. brought me on board. I'm like, okay, we got peanut. Well, all right. Well, what else can we do? Let's do cashew. Let's do pistachio. We got that going. Then I'm like, okay, what next? We got the 3-seed. We got the pecan. Okay, what next? Well, we have macadamia. We have hazelnuts. There are others that we could do. We're like, no, hold on. We got these 5. Let's now add chocolate to it. We got that. Then we go, okay, well, what else should we do? What are the other snacks from West Africa that we should bring and expose to the community? And again, that's the genesis of the business. Because I grew up in the Caribbean. My wife is from Ghana. I've eaten their food. The food is amazing. Thing is, I keep saying, why don't we have a West African restaurant in Appleton? Right? The food is amazing. Okay, you are here. You're drooling over that peanut soup, right?
Yes.
We should be having peanut soup, wache, jollof rice, egusi stew, goat soup, right? The list goes on and on and on. And I'm like, why? No, it takes, right, going off of our catchwords, entrepreneurship, somebody to have not just the idea, but the desire, and then take the action too. And that was Yao. He's like, I'm taking the action to do this thing that everybody says should happen.
Right.
So now we're going, okay, well, what else? There's a snack called chin chin. So essentially it's a fried dough. Everybody has a fried dough, right? But it's just a way that you present it and you make it that distinguishes it from every other fried dough, right? You got that. We've got kubi cake. Then I go, okay, what are the things from the Caribbean I could bring, right? We have kurma and we have sugar cakes and. So under Sharay's, on the Gold Coast, we expect to have a portfolio of West African or African-inspired treats that people can access. And generally, most of our treats do not have artificial foods in them. They're all natural, right? Again, in Africa, in the Caribbean, we didn't grow up with corn syrup. We didn't grow up with these artificial foods. So most of our foods are already natural. Now, you can argue, maybe you'll use too much sugar in your food here and there, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, these are indulgences. Nobody needs candy unless you have a bad day and you're like, hey, I really need.
I was going to say, don't speak for me. Don't speak for me now. The candy, there's a need there.
Yeah, you know what? I will give you that. I will give you that, right?
Bruh.
I'll give you that, right? So we have this vision to have this full portfolio of African and African-inspired foods. Now, we don't go, hey, you got to get this thing from Ghana. It's, hey, here's a brittle. Wow, it's interesting. Oh, by the way, it's from. And so we don't promote the fact that it is a West African food. We go, you like brittle? Maybe try this. And people try the brittle and they're like, oh my God, give me more. Tell me where. Then we talk about it, right?
Right.
So we're going to do that. And while we're doing that, now, so that's the vision. And I'm saying to Yao, okay, but we got to make a successful business, right? It's got to become, what else should we be doing, right? So now with all of these other products we have, we can satisfy a need for gifting, because most of our customers use candy either to treat themselves, that's one, or treat someone you know or treat someone you love.
Facts.
Right?
Yep.
So this is the piece now where like, okay, we have more candies and a portfolio that can allow you to realize that need. The need to treat someone you love or treat someone you know with a gift. So we put together these gift boxes where we have our brittle with a toffee or a caramel or chocolate or candied pecan. And the business has grown from, he started off with 300 bags back in 2019. I think last year we did 6,000 bags of brittle in total sales.
Wow.
Between our retail partners, right, like Oshkosh Food Co-op, Planet Perk, the Oshkosh Market, the Appleton Market, I'm trying to remember, the Free Market, Jacob's Meat Market, Nemonth's, right, in Appleton, the Hyatt Regency in Green Bay, and then in Madison, Willie Street Co-op, and in Milwaukee, the Outpost Co-op. We just landed 2 customers in Minnesota, 2 co-ops. We just also landed in Hy-Vee in Green Bay. So
nice.
We're expanding. But the thing I think that makes us stand out, right, is the characters behind it. We call ourselves the Brittle Daddies. He's Brittle Daddy number 1. I'm Brittle Daddy number 2.
Bruh.
So
I love that.
visit our Facebook page, and our website. You'll see some of the videos that you'll have, and you'll see two friends having a good time, realizing the dream of bringing food, right, that they are passionate about to the people around them. So
I will be sure to we will be sure to put this information in the podcast notes because we want people to understand. And I'm fascinated. Like, I think candy is such an interesting business venture, right? Is it hard to get people to give you shelf space? Like, I always hear this kind of thing, like in retail situations, like it's hard, like soft drinks. Soft drinks is one of the big ones. Like, shelf space is everything, right? That's gold because that's how people learn about you.
Right.
Have you found, are you at that point, or is that the point you're working in right now, is trying to say, hey, we got this product that's worth shelf space, or are you past that point?
we're still growing. So here was our strategy. We started working with people we knew, friends.
Yeah.
Right? Y'all knew the owner of the free market. Personal relationship, right?
Well,
Where you go, hey, Cindy, would you be willing to? And she's like, yeah, I got some space. Put it up there, right? I knew the owner of, why am I drawing a blank? The owner of Copper Rock Coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Emily, hey, we got this. Would you be willing to? She's like, yeah. We went to the owner of Jacob's Meat Market, Luke.
Yeah.
We're in a conversation thinking, well, we got a pitch and doing a, in 10 minutes, Jacob's like, yeah, I got some space, right? Well, we're like, well, that was easy.
Now, you gotta love this place, right? You gotta love the Kosh in the Fox Valley region.
So working with smaller businesses is easier, right?
Yeah.
It's easier. Okay, now you're talking about, well, we just got into Hy-Vee. Well, it took a bit, right? It took, and y'all probably knows a little bit more. I'm going to say it took about 2 or 3 months, maybe, to go back and forth. Large organization where there's a structure and there's a process, right? There's a couple we're trying to get into right now. It's like, but then the problem isn't getting on the shelf. Anybody could get on a shelf. How is the product moving?
Off the shelf.
Right.
It's not. You said on the shelf is one thing. Getting off the shelf is another way.
So right now, literally, as you and I are speaking, Yao is at the outpost in Milwaukee doing sampling, right?
Right.
Because so it's there. Now, part of the challenge we have is we're in generation 3 design of our packaging. And we both look at the packaging going, there's a lot more work to be done to get it to where we really want it to be.
Right.
It's very simple and very artisan looking today, right? And it's different from when it first started 4 years ago. And then 4 years from now, it's going to look very different.
Right.
So branding is an important element of getting it off the shelf. But then it's also all of the work that it takes to build your brand, build that relationship with the retailer, and have that turnover that makes sense for them, that also makes sense for you, right? But also, just from a business perspective, right, we don't see ourselves as having that single channel, which is retail shelves, right? We have our own store in a Cotton Walk. We're toying with the idea of having a store in the Fox Valley, right? Not a huge store, but having a retail presence. We have an online presence. That's also it's critical. And then being part of not just your own online store, but having an online presence at some of these other platforms, right? Fair, Amazon, that's a whole story on its own. There's a host of these online platforms that allow you to move your product, right? But fundamentally, we're at the point where it's okay. Let's make sure we show love to our existing customers, right? Deepen that relationship.
Correct.
And make sure that they're in a point where they have to do less work to sell the product, and that customers are now coming in and asking for the product.
Right. Yeah. Right? Well, I mean, the biggest win is the referral. Like, your best advertisement is word of mouth. Somebody going, man, have you had...
Oh, let me give you this story. So I'm at one of my son's friends' house, and this was early fall. So it was parents were hosting some of the other football teams. So the dad says, "Hey, so what are you doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, I'm busy this weekend. I'm selling. I have this candy that we sell, this Brittle." He's like, "Oh, you sell Brittle? Oh, you might have some competition, right? There's some guys who have some Brittle, right? And it doesn't stick to your teeth." I'm like, "You should, you want to be mindful of that." And I go, "Yeah, that's us." He's like, "That's you?" So now I've known the dad for a while.
Yeah.
But he didn't know that I was involved.
Oh,
So
that's
he's
so
telling
good.
I say that to say, back to your referral, when we started, so Yao was here. I was like, "Yeah, we want to be national, right? We want to be all." I was like, "Oh, time out, yeah. Let's get to a point where if anybody says Brittle in the Fox Valley, they
Right.
should think of us first.
Facts.
Right? We got to own our backyard,
Yeah.
right?"
Yeah.
And so in the last year, I'm saying to Yao, I think more people know about us than we think. Because we're like, oh my God, we just have to. I think more people know about the Brittle Daddies and the Sharay's Brittle than we realize.
Oh, I think a lot of people know about y'all. Yeah. No ifs, ands, or buts. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Before I met you, I knew about y'all.
Really?
Yeah. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah. And I'm like, but we don't get that. We don't have that feedback conduit
Right.
to say, right? But what we do know is our customers in the Fox Valley, they keep reordering. So somebody's going to be buying it.
Somebody's eating it.
Right? It's either one person's buying 200 bags a week or you got 200 people buying one bag. Either way, we're grateful for the support we've gotten from those other small businesses who said, "Hey, we will take a chance on you," right? We will take a chance on you. And so that's been phenomenal. I get back again, and so it's hard to say, well, the what if, right? If we were in Philly or if we were in Massachusetts, would it have been the same versus here? Don't know.
Right.
But we're like, we're here in Appleton, and the uptake and the interest in something that's different was more than we could imagine. Because here you got a Ghana style Brittle, and we're like, are people gonna go for it, right? And we're like, yeah, people are going for it, particularly like in Appleton when we do the Appleton Farmers Market. So this year we had to split because we were like, okay, we can't just do Appleton every week. We have other markets, and it's the two of us, right? So we went 1 week Appleton, 1 week Oshkosh, 1 week Appleton, 1 week Oshkosh. And we got people in Appleton going, "We didn't see you last week." I'm like, "Oh, you missed us. Thank you. When will you be back?" "We'll be back in 2 weeks." And they're coming back, right? But then we're also saying, okay, when you miss us, go to Jacobs, go to Nemots, go to the Free Market, go to Copper Rock, go to Oshkosh, right? But there's something I think they enjoy the engagement with the Brittle Daddies as well.
Right.
Because we have a feel and a character that we bring to the engagement. Right?
Oh, yeah.
When you see us, for example, and this may change, we actually have a T-shirt that says Happy Saturday, right? Every customer we greet with a Happy Saturday, even if it's a Sunday.
Well, you know what? There's still something to it.
Yeah.
Hey, it's still a day off.
Hey, you know what? And they're like, because we say Happy Saturday, because with Sharay's, every day is a Saturday.
Yeah.
That's what we say. Because your mindset of a Saturday, what does a Saturday feel like? A relaxed day, a day where you're not worried about stuff, a day where you have the time to engage with friends, family. Maybe you're doing home chores, right? You're not worried about work. I mean, like when you engage with us, that's how we want you to feel. We want you to feel that you're not stressed, you're not worried, that you can take a load off, you can have a conversation, right? Yes. So again, with Sharay's, every day is a Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that going to be in your commercial? I'm just going to mess with you right now. Hey. All right. And let me tell you, I'm excited about the possibility of there being white chocolate brittle. I think there may be genius in this.
We will do that for you.
All right.
We will do that for you.
Okay. Orson, any last things you want to share about your topic of the week here?
Not that I can think off the top of my head, right? I mean, I will. It's thank you, right? It's thank you to everyone who's been there, hand on our shoulder, putting out a supportive hand to pull us, push us. So it starts with family, right? My wife, the kids, right? My daughter's like, where are you going? Are you going to the market today? Right? Yeah, I'm going to the market. And she's like, yeah. My son, wake up him and want to drag him to the market, right? I was like, I want you to see how this is done, right? So family, yeah, I'm sure we'll say the same with his wife, Leslie, right? It's the community and the support they've shown. I mean, everyone. We've had more positive experiences than negative. So there's nothing I can go, oh, this. No, it's how do we build on the positive? So it's thank you to the community. Anyone who's ever said a good word, shared a post, bought a Brittle, referred a friend, went to one of our retail customers, went online, just thank you, right? And then just to know there's more. We are in the process of building on what we've done so that, one, this community can, because we don't shy away from saying we're Wisconsin owned, Wisconsin made. I like to say born in Ghana, raised in Wisconsin, right? The Brittle.
Yes.
Right? So it's, we embrace the fact that we are from Wisconsin, right? And that we're going beyond Wisconsin. We intend to be a Midwest brand. So we're reaching out to companies, businesses, retail partners in Minnesota, in Iowa, in Illinois, in Michigan, right? But none of this is possible without the support from the community.
The first place I thought was Quick Trip. That's just me.
Let me noodle on that one.
Okay.
Let me noodle on that. Actually, you're right. We had one customer, he's a truck driver, come in and go, where can I get this? And we'd never thought most of our customers are mothers between the age of 35 and 55. Very few men. And we've said, what do we need to do to get more men to buy a Brittle? To recall, quick story. Appleton Market. Because we love being there and just interacting with it. We look at the dynamic with our customers, particularly men with their wives. Here's what we see. The men are walking by and they kind of longingly look at the Brittle as they're walking by. But the wife is going towards the flowers and the fresh vegetables. And they're like, oh, if only I could. But the boss here. And
Bruh.
Oh my God, there's so much factual. That is facts.
Right? We have this, we look at each other and go, yeah, we understand. He's like, yeah. The whole conversation, silent conversation. I really want the Brittle, but the wife wants that, right? And we go like, yeah, but maybe she'll swing around. And he's like, yeah, I wish, guys. Maybe the next time around. It's like, yeah, well, you know what? We'll be here. And we got the peanut. He's like, yeah, that looks really good. And then we go. So one time that happened, the husband, we saw him and we said, yeah, he really wants the Brittle. But the wife didn't even see us, walk right by us. 10 minutes later, they come back around and he's ahead and she's walking behind and he's like, yeah, I really wanted this Brittle. I said to the wife, can we go check it out? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, guys, I'm here. What do you have for me? We sold them like 2 or 3 bags and he was gone, right?
Yeah.
And then he was back like a month later, right?
Yes.
But it's like, it's so funny to see guys walk past us. Brittle, okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know that. Look, that whole, what you're talking about is so real, but I have to set parameters prior to going to the farmer's market. And my parameter is this. If someone is making burritos or there are tacos, street tacos, we're going to have to stop. We're going to have to stop and find out what is being offered. Anything else, you run the show. But there is, I must stop for burritos and tacos. That's it. Not saying I'm gonna get them,
right?
But I need to investigate. I must find an understanding on what the offering is.
So maybe we could incorporate that into it. Get an early dispensation on the places you'll stop.
Yeah. Well, because I think if you frame it out early,
right?
Yeah,
but for most of us, when we're going shopping with the wives, right?
Well, we don't know what we're going to.
We don't know.
We don't know what's about to happen to us.
We're in tow.
Yeah.
We're here for the arms and the legs to carry the stuff that needs to be bought.
That's what I was going to say. We are here as labor. We understand it. Yeah. We know what the job is. It entails. My job is to carry things.
Right.
Facts.
So back to, it's just thank you. That it's gratitude, right? It's that expression of gratitude.
Okay. Thank you, Orson.
Yeah.
All right, Kosh listeners. it's that time of the show. We're going to start wrapping up. We just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for giving us your minds and your ears. Thank you for giving us the time and wanting to learn about another person in our community doing amazing things. Like, I can't stress this enough. I think the Kosh does such a good job of letting us peel back some layers, understand who's out here, who do we share space with, who do we build community with. And we don't know all the amazing things each other are, but this gives us a little glimpse. It opens a window, it cracks a door to understand who's out here in our community and just all the positivity that surrounds all our neighbors, right? Once again, we are a work in progress. Please, please, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Let us know what we're doing wrong. Let us know what we're doing right. If you want to be a guest, if you want to recommend a guest, reach out to us at askthekosh@gmail.com. Once again, that is askthekosh@gmail.com. Also, I have an ask for you, and that is, while you're listening to this episode, take a moment and hit that subscribe button. And if you got a few more minutes or a minute, just leave us a quick review, even if it's just one sentence, and let people know what you think about listening to the Kosh. What this does is it helps our analytics, and better analytics helps this podcast get in front of more eyes and on more ears. And we just think we have something really special here, something that is community focused, made for the community, that celebrates our community. And I think that's pretty special. Okay, now it is that time of the show. It is shout out time, Orson.
Hey.
What do you got?
All right, I got a couple things here. So, we've talked a lot about food, right?
Yes, we have.
I don't know. Maybe I need breakfast. That's what I need. Lisa Cruz from the Multicultural Initiative. She's working on a food insecurity program, right? Again, and it's targeted specifically to populations who are immigrants. So near and dear to my heart. I want to shout out to Lisa and the team for working on that. There's a lot of people who reside here where having access to food is a difficulty, but more importantly, having access to food that they're comfortable with, right? That they need to sustain themselves, right? And particularly food that's local and familiar to them. So there's that. People of Progression, we've got our Afro Hair Fair coming up in February, right? Which coincides with Black History Month. First one was last year. The second will be this year. It's going to be a phenomenal event. So stay tuned to that. Hit us up at People of Progression Facebook page. You'll see our promotion on that event coming up pretty soon. Shameless plug for Chic Beauty Supply. Be chic, be you. My wife's business. And so she's also, and she and her friend Gifty Berko, are very passionate about allowing people to be themselves, right? And so for women, make sure I say this right. What do you want for you to feel comfortable in your skin, right? Mm-hmm. That's what they're trying to do, right? Yes. And their beauty supply is really centered around hair care products. Okay. Right. And so shout out Dan. And then final, good friend of mine, don't know, you might know him, Jason Schulist.
Oh yeah.
Jason's doing some phenomenal work
Facts.
On generative business models. Mm-hmm. And he's one of the smartest guys that I know. Well-read, well-connected, good guy. There's something he has going on with that generative business model that I think is a game changer in terms of what we need as a society to be successful. It's the counter to the prevailing broken capitalist system, right? Yes. And I think I'm shouting out and sending that encouragement to Jason for the work he's doing, and he is passionate, right? He's got his he's got his Ikugo. I can't remember the Japanese. He's found his space, and he's working on it. So I just wanted to acknowledge somebody who's doing something that is admirable.
Well,
yeah, those are my shout outs.
All right, Jason's got a future episode coming up here.
Nice.
So he's going.
That is going to be a powerful segment.
He gonna go hard.
Yeah. He's gonna have you gonna make sure you have some coffee because there's gonna be a lot to digest.
I'm gonna serve him tea. All right. He might. I don't want to overfuel him. Okay. So for my shout outs, I'm gonna keep it simple. You know, my thing is when I'm able to record 2 episodes in a weekend, you know, I usually have a long list, the first one, and the second list I go light because I kind of did everything the first time. In this case, I want to make sure that I give a shout out to all the individuals on the MLK planning committee for the MLK celebration in Appleton that's about to happen. That is fantastic. I want to give a shout out to my man, Dr. Alfonso Simpson, for all of the things that he has getting planned for Black History Month. My man literally does something almost every day of February, and he goes hard in what he gives of himself to produce this for the community, for students, but even for the greater community is amazing. Nothing short of amazing. So I want to make sure I celebrate that and make sure you keep an eye out for those opportunities. Outside of that, I just want to I want to thank those people out there plowing these streets because we need you. Y'all do it. Y'all keep it real. 100. I want to give a big shout out to our first responders out here who have to go out in these cold conditions and save people who do not so smart things sometimes. And then there's also just the accidents that happen. Yeah. So thank you for doing what y'all do out there. And then I think I'm going to start doing this every episode. We're going to see. But I want to thank my wife. Because, once again, she allows me to bring people into this house to record the Kosh. And she is very patient with me.
There we go.
So, you know, there's something to be said for that.
Grounding.
Wait, that is she. Well, she definitely is my grounding. Yeah. All right. So, Orson, there is one thing left to do.
Okay.
All right. Okay. And you've got 3 choices.
Okay.
All right. Those 3 choices are you can leave the Kosh listeners with some parting words of wisdom. You can, option B, tell us what would yourself today tell your 13-year-old self.
Ooh.
Or option C, you can do both because, you know, we don't limit people here. What do you got?
All right. So this is our option 1 and 2 combined, right? So it's a parting words of wisdom that I would tell my 13-year-old that I'm sharing with the Kosh listeners.
Love that.
And it's something I heard just today, actually on my way here, listening to a podcast or something. So it hasn't quite crystallized in my mind, and I'm going to use this opportunity to help crystallize it, right? The narrator was saying emotion is generated based on a belief that you have. So emotions don't exist in vacuum. They're centered in a belief that you have. More specifically, it's like fear is generated based on a belief that you have that is incongruent with your nature. And I was like, oh my God. So when I'm fearful of something, it's because I believe something will happen. And so he goes, the way to overcome the fear or address the emotion is to address the belief. If I believe something's going to happen negatively, that's what generates the fear. If that belief changes, the fear is gone. So, and the reason it stuck my head is because you had that question, right? So then I go, oh, so everything positive or negative is really centered around a belief. And the way to overcome it and not be paralyzed or to celebrate is to understand that belief. So to my 13-year-old self, if there's something that you love or fear or something that generates an emotion, understand what's centering that emotion and then either embrace or change it.
Facts. Big, fat facts. All right. Orson, what you think? Yeah.
Did we do 2 hours? Did we get a half or how much time?
We covered a lot of time.
Oh my God, this is great. Thank you very much for this.
The Kosh.